Hello and welcome to Raus IAS. This is the Daily News Simplified for the date 15th April 2024. And for today's discussion, we have taken these following 7 topics. For mains discussion, we will be dealing with 2 articles, one of which is related to economics, that is Agri-food reforms. The other article is about West Asian crisis and India. So we will be seeing these topics in our mains discussion, and our discussion for prelims, we will be seeing these 5 articles which are listed over your screen. So if you like our video, give us a thumbs up, and if you have any doubts, you can ask us in the comment section of our YouTube video, right? So with this, let's start our discussion for the day. The first topic for today's discussion is inspired by this news article which appeared on the page number 10 of Indian Express. Now, this news article says that food for reform, that is, in a way, we have to improve the efficiency of our agriculture based food systems. That is efficiency, that is, we have to raise our agricultural productivity so that, because you know that India presently, the population of India is around 1.4 billion, and it is speculated that within 2 decades, this population will be around 1.6 billion. So we have more mouth to feed. And now, coupled with this population expansion, we have other issues like the threats of global warming or climate change, because of which, what is happening? The available land resources, their productivity is being impacted as the soil quality, soil fertility is being impacted, added with the climate uncertainties, added with the uncertainties like the weather is changing, rainfall, temporal and spatial changes in the rainfall patterns. So these are all the issues. Like we need more food, plus there would be global warming, right? So for it, we need to make our food production systems more efficient, right? So this is the central theme of this article, that our food productivity should increase. So now this topic is important for our GS paper 3 economy under the syllabus head major cropping patterns in various parts of the country, different types of irrigation and irrigation system storage, transport and marketing of agriculture produce and issues and related constraints. So if we see this broad theme, these are the questions in the past years which UPSC has asked. And now your task is to decode these themes. If you decode these themes, you will get enough fodder to add to the data, add to the article we will be discussing today, right? So like for example, the changes in cropping pattern in India, micro irrigation systems, their need and their issues, need to improve water storage and irrigation system, integrated farming system, right? What are the challenges, bottlenecks in marketing of agricultural products and various other themes. Now with this, let's start our discussion. Agri-food reforms. Now in this topic, we will see that what are the challenges and what are their possible solutions, right? Now, first challenge, let's focus on input. Now, for agricultural production, we need certain inputs. What are these inputs? These inputs can be, first input is land. And what are the inputs which we use in land? These inputs are, say, soil, say, seeds, water. Okay. And what are other inputs? Capital is one input. Technology. So these are the inputs which we use for agricultural production. So there are certain challenges in this wide criteria. So what are these challenges? First of all, land. Now see, in India, there is a poor land management record system. Our land management record system, they are presumptive. They are not conclusive. So we can say that even if a person or a company is going to buy a particular plot or a particular land, he is not certain that that land, maybe that land, it is high chance that there may be certain kind of issues related to that land regarding its legality, that who is the legal owner of this land, right? And this is because we have a poor land management record system. Our land record systems are not digitalized, though we are moving towards it by the rollout of Swamitha scheme, right? So largely this have been the issue, that because of these poor land management record system, And then other issue is land fragmentation. Now we all know that in India, more than 80% of Indian farmers are small and marginal farmers, and these farmers, they have less than 2 hectares of lands. Now you see, what is the challenge with it? When we have small and fragmented land farm holdings, then the cost of input is more. Because consider a case when a farmer had, say, 10 hectares and there is a farmer who has 2 hectares. Then this farmer would use seeds, labor, and for a farmer who has 10 hectares, the relative cost of labor, or you can say per unit input price, it decreases as the farm size increases. And also other issue is that these small farmers who have fragmented land holdings, they cannot participate in economies of scale. The major pattern is that they produce just for their sustenance, just for their consumption. And when you have large land holdings, at that time you can grow to sell in the market or for commercial cultivation, right? So this is the issue in India, that we have land fragmentation, right? Other issue is rigid land leasing. Our land leasing land leasing laws are basically rigid in India, and because of which what happens, because of which the land tenancy, this is happening, but we have hidden or informal land tenancy. It is happening behind the curtains, but not on paper. And now, because of this rigid land leasing rules in India, because of the presence of informal land tenancy, what is happening? These farmers, these cultivators, that is the original tillers or cultivators, they are leasing land from the, say, landholders, the original landholders. But see, because this is not formal, the system is not formal due to an absence of, because of a rigid land leasing regime, and that's why they don't have official documents of these lands. And in the absence of these official documents or legal documents, they are not able to get institutional credit, right? So this is the issue, that they face difficulties in getting institutional credit or institutional loan. And other thing is that there is, for example, there are certain input schemes in India like PM Kisan scheme, and these farmers, because of the absence of these legal documents, they cannot enjoy the benefits of certain schemes like PM Kisan. So this is one issue due to rigid land leasing. Now, what are the issues in total? What happens because of it? Firstly, as we saw, that there is a lack of institutional credit, and then productivity of the land, it decreases. Why so? Because see, land fragmentation, one more issue with it is that, because if a farmer has fragmented land, then the technology adoption may be low, right? Because the farmer cannot participate in economies of scale, and as a result, his farm mechanization may be poor. And also because he cannot get enough institutional credit. This is also one reason that farm mechanization would be poor or low, right? And that's why the productivity of the land would be low, right? And then these all factors, they deter private investment, because these private investors, they are not capable, they are not able to get hassle-free contract farming agreements, right? And because of the absence of this contract farming agreements, there is a lack of private investment in this in agricultural sector, right? So this is one issue. Other issue is the issue of capital. And a few years ago, there was a report by NABARD which showed that still 40% of cultivator household, they rely on taking loans from non-institutional organizations. They do not get institutional loans. So there is an issue of capital, right? And technology adoptions. You know that there is a lack of agri entrepreneurship in India. And one reason is small land holdings. Because of it, they are deterred to mechanize their farms. And other reason is that we grow just for sustenance purpose. So this kind of entrepreneurship for commercial cultivation is still not ingrained in India, right? Now, the second thing is logistics and infrastructure. Now we know that logistics and infrastructure, this means that in India, still there is absence of adequate warehousing, adequate cold house storage facilities, and adequate transport, especially in rural areas. Now, because of which, even a farmer, if he wants to shift away from traditional crops like wheat and rice and grow and shift on to horticulture, now in the absence of this warehousing or these facilities, these cold storage facilities, because he is not able to access this, he may be demotivated, right? And because of which the monoculture persists. And then there are issues in the market. What are these issues? First of all, there is monopoly of APMCs. So APMCs is Agriculture Produce Market Committees. Now, what are APMCs? APMC, earlier government created APMCs with a good motive, such as to prevent farmers, to prevent the exploitation of farmers. So under this, every state, as you know that agriculture is a state subject, so every state had to open APMCs, and then farmers, they register to these APMCs, and in these APMCs these farmers sell their crops or produce, right? But now see, certain ill practices they have happened in APMCs, like for example cartelization, presence of certain cartels in APMCs. So these kind of practices and their monopoly, and even one more issue is that these APMCs, they are not present in the vicinity of farmers. They are present at farther locations, and because of which the cost of transportation, which the farmers, they face a higher cost of transportation to transport their goods to these APMCs, because they are not located in the farmers vicinity, right? And other issue is because of the presence of cartelization in these APMCs. So because of this monopoly of APMCs, farmers, they are not able to realize good price for their production, right? And then MSP distorts market price. See, generally what should happen? The price of any commodity, it should be determined by the market forces, that is demand and supply. But see, MSP in one sense creates artificial price scarcity. Now, for example, say if the price of any commodity, hypothetical example, in the market prices, say 800 rupees per quintal. Now, say government has fixed 1000 rupees per quintal price in MSP. Now, this trader who wants to buy this particular commodity, he has to pay 1000 rupees per quintal, because the MSP for that particular commodity is 1000 rupees per quintal, right? So there is an artificial inflation of price because of MSP in certain cases, right? So MSP can distort these market prices. Other thing is that, as we all know, MSP has promoted the culture of monoculture. It has promoted monoculture or monocropping. That is, certain crops, because of procurement of certain crops like wheat and rice, some states have not diversified their agricultural production, and because of which, one thing is that the crop diversification did not happen, and other thing is that there is surplus production of certain crops, and there are certain other issues regarding MSP. And other issue arise from Essential Commodities Act 1955. So this act was enacted by Indian government in 1955 in order to control inflation on certain essential commodities. In agricultural commodities which are covered under this act, they include oilseeds, pulses, and say certain crops like onions, the price of which are volatile. So in order to prevent inflation of their prices, Essential Commodities Act 1955 was created, and as per this act, there are certain stock holding limits. That is, these traders, they cannot hold these crops beyond a certain limit in their warehouses. Now see, what was the problem with this act? Though it had right intentions at one point of time, but now see, when the when the production of these crops is surplus, and any farmer, if he wants to open warehouses or cold storage facilities in order to store these crops, but now see, there are certain stockholding norms, he won't be able to do it, right? So it deters the traders to invest in cold storage facilities. And see, now this again, now this is one consequence, and this poor infrastructure in India may be one consequence of this Essential Commodities Act also, right? And other thing is nutritional security. Food security does not only mean that we have a surplus food to eat, it also means that the food which we are eating should be nutrient rich. So in this case, as we can see, there are various indicators, there are various reports which show that the level of malnutrition in India is very high. As per the data of National Family Health Survey, fifth or the latest data, we see that around 35% Indian children below the age of 5 years, they are stunted, and they also face other kind of malnutrition, right? And so this providing nutritional security, this is also a challenge, right? Now what should be the solutions for it? What are the solutions? Solutions should be raising total factor productivity. That is first solution, that this factor productivity or efficiency of inputs, this should be increased. How so? For seeds, there should be high yielding, more research should be done in order to procure high yielding variety of seeds. And now as climate is changing, we should move towards climate smart agriculture, right? So for it, these seeds, for example, there should be flood tolerant varieties of rice. There are certain varieties of rice, flood tolerant varieties, drought resistant crops. So they can be planted more, right? And for water, efficient use of water, there should be micro irrigation facilities, sprinklers, drip irrigation, among others. And then there should be food fortification. Food fortification. In order to provide nutritional security, the food should be fortified. It should be enriched. For example, we have zinc enriched wheat and zinc enriched rice. And if presently in India, GM crops or genetically modified crops, they are not grown presently, they are not allowed. So government, there is a genetically modified crop, vitamin A rich rice, and which has been rolled out in certain countries, including Bangladesh also. So India should think of rolling out this GM crops, right? Vitamin A rice particularly. And then this digital land records. To solve the problem of poor land management records, India should move towards digitalizing land records, and via Swamitva scheme, India is doing it. And then see, to solve the issue of land fragmentation, the farmer producer organizations, they should set up certain kind of collective farming units in villages, okay, where the land of these villagers, they should be aggregated in order that they can participate in the economies of scale. And these land leasing processes, it should be liberalized such that there should be proper development of contract farming rules in India, contract farming in India. And then there should be creation of post-harvest infrastructure. That is, private investment in this post-harvest infrastructure should be encouraged. It should flow. And one thing could be by exempting the food processing industries and cold storage investors from the provisions of, from the penalties of Essential Commodities Act 1955, right? This can be one exemption which can be given to food processing industries. And then there can be other reforms. There can be reforms in APMCs. What can be these reforms? These reforms can be, for example, wider adoption of ENAM. What is ENAM? Electronic National Agricultural Market. So it is a kind of integrated online unified market in which can give better price realization to farmers. And though this ENAM, these farmers, earlier a farmer is forced to sell to his nearest APMC, but via the rollout of this ENAM system, a farmer can sell his goods to any APMC within a particular state. Presently, it is limited to one state, and in future, the rollout or the wider or via the wider adoption of this ENAM, the farmers throughout the country would be able to sell their commodities across the state in any APMC of their choice, right? And so these are certain reforms which can be done in order to uh, in order to improve food security in India, and in order to prevent from the adverse impact on food security because of global warming or climate change, right? So this is this article all about. And now let's move on to our second article, which appeared on the page number 14 of The Hindu. So we will take a summary of this news article. You must be aware that recently what is happening, Iran launched more than 300 drones strike in Israel. Along with these drones which Iran fired on Israel, Iran has also struck Israel with more than 100 ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. But these ballistic and cruise missiles, they were intercepted by the Iron Dome system which the Israel has. This is a kind of defense system. Iron Dome system of Israel is a defense system which Israel has, and via the system it intercepted the attack from Iran side. So now let's see that what is this issue all about. And particularly this issue is about the disturbances in West Asia as a reason, and how these disturbances may be detrimental to our impact, or what would be there on India, or what would be the impact of these disturbances on India. Okay, we will be seeing about this thing. Now this topic is important for us for our GS paper to international relations under the syllabus head effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest and India's diaspora, right? And now see, these are certain questions which you can see which were related to this particular theme. So now first of all, let's see that what is the location of West Asia or Middle East. So particularly it may include these countries, these Gulf countries, plus some countries in Africa, Northern Africa, right? So these are known as Middle East countries or West Asian countries. And you can see some countries of our importance today. These are Israel here, Lebanon, which is a neighbor of Israel, and we can see Yemen, and we can see the location of Iran. So these are, and this is a better map. You can see the location of Israel, Lebanon, and Yemen, Iran, right? Now let's understand and see this is the location of India in respect to these countries, right? And now let's see the sequence of event, the recent sequence of events, that what is happening here. Now, if we talk about the hostility of Israel and Iran, they have a long history of hostility. Right from 1979, when there was an advent of Islamic Revolution of Iran. Since then, Iran has been using proxies, though there have not been a direct confrontation between Iran and Israel since all these years, but Iran is using proxies. And some proxies are like using Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a kind of militant organization or militant group. It is based in Lebanon. So these are the militant groups which occasionally they target Israel, and they are backed by Iran, right? And other group is Houthis. It is also a kind of militant organization, militant group which is based in Yemen. So these are some of the allies, we can say some kind of proxy allies of Iran. Okay, so Iran did not directly conflict with Israel as of now, but now recently there was a direct confrontation, and this was the first direct confrontation between any country and Israel after 1991 Gulf War. After this war, there was a direct confrontation for the first time between any country and Israel, right? So in this direct confrontation, we saw that that Iran, after there was killing of, actually what happened that Israel, firstly it launched attack, it launched strikes on the consulate of Iran, which was located in Syria. And then, as a retaliation, Iran struck more than 300 drones and other ballistic missiles on Israel. So, this is the direct confrontation, right? So, and what are the other stakeholders which are involved in this issue? Other stakeholders are US. Though US has not directly supported Israel this time, but we know that US is the long standing ally of Israel in this issue. And we know that Iran, though it is not, we know that there are hostilities between Iran, there are sanctions, global sanctions on Iran, and basically there is a chance that there can be formation of Russia, China, and Iran nexus here. And see, what is the importance of these, particularly West Asia for India, and Iran for India? Now we know that Iran as well as Israel, India is trying to balance its relationship with both these countries, with Israel as well as Israel. So now it would be difficult for us to balance our stance, right? In this case, if the conflict escalates. And now let's see that what is the importance of West Asia, this region to India. The first thing is energy security. We all know that India is dependent on more than 50% of its import of energy, of, for example, crude oil and natural gas from uh, Middle East countries. And so we can see that 60% of India's crude oil and 85% of India's liquid natural gas, it is imported from these West Asian countries or Middle Eastern countries. And now, if any kind of instability happens in this region, this will translate to price hike for us, and it may impact our energy security, right? Other thing is that, see, this West Asia, it is our strategic gateway to Europe. For this, we have recently, it is a new or latest initiative which India launched in the year 2023. So India has proposed a India Middle East Europe corridor, and it was proposed in 2023 as an connectivity, as an infrastructural connectivity initiative, which aims to stimulate economic development in India, Middle East as well as Europe. And under this infrastructural project, India is aiming to connect Middle East, basically Persian Gulf, and then Europe. And this connectivity via maritime route, also via land route, that is railways. So this is an ambitious project which has been recently initiated, right, for enhanced connectivity and economic integration between Asia, Arabian Peninsula and Europe. So West Asia, so the stability of West Asia is imperative in order that India assesses the markets of Europe, or for economic integration of these countries, right? And then stability in West Asia is important to ensure maritime security in Indian Ocean region. As you know that these Houthi rebels in support, one more thing, there is a war, ongoing war going on between Israel and Hamas, or the famous Gaza war. So, since October 2023, there is an ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. And in solidarity with Palestine, these Houthis, the military group in Yemen, they are carrying out strikes in the ships which are located in the Red Sea or in the Gulf of Aden. So, in this map, you can see the location of Gulf of Aden, which are being struck by Houthi rebels of Yemen. So this is in one terms impacting the maritime trade, right? And see the overall stability of this region, this Arabian Sea and the larger Indian Ocean region. So stability of Middle East is important in order to ensure the maritime security in the Indian Ocean region, right? And other thing is, we have a presence of a large number of diaspora in Middle East countries. In 2022, India had around 8 to 9 million diaspora which is residing in these countries, and they are basically employed there, mostly of which are in blue collar jobs. So that's why West Asia is important for us, and they send a good one of the highest number of remittances to India come from West Asia, right? And other thing is that if this region becomes unstable, this may also mean that this terrorism via any form, say maritime piracy or terrorism, they may also spread in our Indian Ocean region, or particularly this may have repercussions in India also, right? So this is the importance of West Asia to India. So presently, let's see that what is the approach which India has adopted towards West Asia. Now, since the year 2005, we have Look West policy. So this is a strategic approach which India has adopted in order to strengthen our ties with the countries of West Asia, particularly with the countries of with the Gulf countries, particularly the members of GCC. And then this Look West policy, it focuses on particularly the dimensions are energy security, economic opportunities, welfare of diaspora, security cooperation, and enhancing India's strategic influence in the region. So this is since 2005. Other initiative is I2U2 initiative. So this initiative was launched in the year 2021, and this initiative I2U2, there are 4 countries, which is India, Israel, UAE and United States. So it is a kind of economic cooperation, or which via which these countries will cooperate on the initiatives such as energy security, transportation, space, health, food security, and water security, right? So these are some of the, and then we already discussed about India Middle East Europe corridor, right? So these are some of the initiatives, or this is the approach which India has adopted towards West Asia, right? So stability of this region is important for India as well, right? So with this, let's move on to our prelims topics for the day. The first topic of today's discussion is inspired by this news article which appeared on the page number on the science section of The Hindu. Now, this news article says that how fast is the universe expanding? Now, in this news article, there were various keywords. Now, let's understand. See, universe and its mysteries, like what is universe made up of? Is universe static or is it expanding? These have been the long pending mysteries which humans are trying to solve, right? So now, the most common theory that how universe was created, or the most widely accepted theory, is Big Bang theory. Now, what happened in Big Bang theory? Around 13.8 billion years ago, it is said that via a singularity, this is a point of infinite density. So this is a point of infinite density, and via this singularity, it exploded. And then this explosion was known as Big Bang. And after this explosion happened, universe, it began to expand. That is, it inflated. And this universe inflated, and after subsequent years, it inflated, then this universe cooled, and then certain fundamental particles were created, and all these fundamental particles, they collapsed together to form matter, and this matter, it formed the basics of cosmos, that is planets or stars, whatever we see today, right? So this is the most accepted theory of Big Bang theory, right? And then in this Big Bang theory, we see there is a term cosmic microwave background radiation. So the oldest light of the, or we can say CMB, is a kind of electromagnetic radiation. This is the oldest light observed in the universe. That is, this cosmic microwave background radiation, this was the light, or this was the aftershock of Big Bang theory, and it happened around 3,80,000 years ago. And this exists in the universe. This is uniformly distributed in the universe. So this is about cosmic microwave background, right? And now, see, the most accepted theory or this lambda CDM model, lambda cold dark model is currently, this is the most simplest cosmological model that says that or it is a mathematical model of Big Bang theory. It supports Big Bang theory, and it says that this our universe, this is the composition of our universe as per this theory. Our universe, it is made up of dark matter, dark energy, and ordinary matter. So 27% of our universe, it comprises of dark matter, 68% of our universe comprises of dark energy, and 5% of which is ordinary matter. We are not going into details of it because it would be a lengthy discussion otherwise. So this is this model, but see, there were certain limitations of this model. What is the limitation? The limitations is that it has no explanation for Hubble tension. These were the terms which were mentioned in this article. Now for this, let's understand Hubble's law. So what is Hubble's law? Hubble's law, in the year 1929, Hubble gave a law that our universe, via mathematical calculations and expression, he proved that our universe is expanding, and the galaxies which are further away from us, they are moving at a faster rate. They are receding away from us at a faster rate as compared to galaxies which are nearer to us. So this was Hubble's law. And then see this evidence, this supporting evidence of our Big Bang theory and our universe expansion, they can be seen from the presence of cosmic microwave background radiation. As this microwave background radiation, this has been redshifted. This CMB, this earlier, which was a high energy photon or high energy radiation, now it has been shifted to the microwave range. So let's understand this. The basic purpose of this article is to understand this redshift. So now see Hubble's, what is redshift? If you remember the spectrum VIBGYOR, now see our light, any light, it is made of 7 constituent colors, in which this V or violet color, this has the highest frequency or the lowest wavelength, and red color has highest, longest wavelength and lowest energy. So if we say that any light is redshifted, it means that the wavelength of that light has increased, or its frequency, and energy is directly proportional to frequency. That is, its energy is less as compared, the energy of red light is less as compared to that of blue light, right? So this light, its frequency has reduced or its wavelength has increased, right? Now let's see cosmic microwave background radiation. We see that this earlier, it was a high energy, it had high energy photon, or it had high energy, but now as the universe is expanding, then that's why it has stretched CMB's wavelength, and now it is in the microwave range or long wavelength. And this can be also seen from some other facts, that is the redshift of galaxies. See, whenever this is an observer, right? This is us, we are observer, and see, if the spectrum of this light is plotted, there are certain lines, and via comparing this spectrum with a normal spectrum, we can see that if any galaxy is coming close to us, or if that galaxy is redshifted, it is moving away from us. But we can see that the galaxies, certain galaxies, they are showing redshift. That is, they are moving away from us, right? So this redshift, so this present of redshift in galaxies, this is the evidence of the universe ongoing expansion. That is, the universe is still expanding, right? So this is the first thing, redshift of galaxies. And now this question is not that is universe expanding. Now the question is that how fast is the universe expanding? Now this is the main question here. But now see, there are certain anomalies, there are certain discrepancies in estimating that how fast is the universe expanding. So this, we can measure how fast is the universe expanding via measuring this cosmic microwave background radiation. By analyzing the pattern of the CMB, we can measure that how fast the universe is expanding. Via it, the velocity has been found that the universe is expanding at 68 kilometers per second per megaparsec. The details are given here. And then via other method, that is via using cosmic distance ladders. This is a distance by which say this is Earth and there are certain Cepheids. Cepheids are kind of pulsating stars. Means these stars, they dim and they shine at particular intervals. So via measuring the light from these Cepheids, we can measure that if the universe is expanding or not. And via these measurements, this distance is different, right? So this article says that there is a presence of Hubble tension. And Hubble tension means that there is a discrepancy in this value between different measurements of Hubble constant, right? So this is the central idea. And now we need to move towards more accurate measurements of how fast is the universe expanding, for which we have certain telescope. I hope you have heard about Hubble's telescope. And then the latest version is James Webb Space Telescope, right? So now with this, let's solve our question, which says that which among the following can be utilized as an evidence for the expansion of the universe? So what could be the evidence from this which shows that the universe is expanding? The first option is redshift of the galaxies. This is correct. Cosmic microwave background radiation. This is also correct. By the measurement of CMB, we can see that the universe is expanding. And by Cepheid variable stars, right? By measuring the brightness of these stars, we can also find that the universe is expanding. So how many statements above given are correct? It is all three are correct. With this, let's move on to our second news article, which is inspired by this news article. It also appeared on the science section of the Hindu, and it's about cryogenics. So what is cryogenics? Cryogenics is the study of production and behavior of a material at an extremely low temperature. So particularly if we observe the behavior of materials, particularly gases here, at a certain temperature which is less than 150 degrees Celsius, or to be more precise, less than 153 degrees Celsius. So at these temperatures, in the temperatures less than minus 153 degrees Celsius, these gases, they liquefy, or they cool down and then they liquefy, they become liquid. And some common gases which are used in this cryogenic studies, these are oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen and helium. So what are the potential applications of cryogenics? You must have heard about LVM-3, Launch Vehicle Mark 3, or which was earlier known as GSLV Mark 3. So this is the most advanced rocket launcher of ISRO. Now it uses cryogenic fuel in its third stage. Remember this fact. And what is this cryogenic fuel which is used by this LVM-3? This cryogenic fuel is liquid hydrogen and oxygen, liquid oxygen as an oxidizer, right? So what is the use of this cryogenics? To create cryogenic engines which utilize cryogenic fuel, particularly liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. Now this lower temperatures or these liquefied gases, they can be also used for cryopreservation. That is preservation of any tissue, organism, any genetic material. Now this has been commonly used in freezing of eggs or freezing of embryos. This is for fertility preservation, right? And this is also this is also being used in various research purposes, including storage of vaccines, blood banking and even food preservation, right? And then other applications are cryosurgery. So these cryogenic temperatures, they are used to kill unwanted or malignant tissues, such as in the treatment of cancer, it can be used. And then in the research purposes, obviously, and they are used in nuclear magnetic resonance techniques, via which we can determine the chemical structure of molecules. And they are also used in magnetic resonance imaging, MRIs, in molecular diagnosis. And then in cryoelectronics, via this we can study superconductivity and other electronic phenomena at low temperature. And one potential use, see this is potential use that in future the scientists are working towards it, that is cryonics. What is cryonics? Cryonics is the cryopreservation of animals and humans. See, if there is a dead human, he can be preserved such that in future if the technology exists, this man can be brought back to life, right? Back to life. So Presently, we don't have this cryonics, but this is a potential application in which the scientists are working, right? This is cryopreservation of animals and humans with the goal of reviving them in future, right? So these are some important applications. So now let's solve this question, which says that consider the following statements. How many of the above are the potential applications of cryogenic technology? So let's see these statements. So we have to see the potential applications of cryogenic technology. These are fertility preservation by freezing of eggs and embryos. This is the correct option. Targeting or eliminating malignant tissues. Determination of chemical structure of a molecule. Preservation of dead humans with the goal of reviving them in future. So yeah, all four of them are the potential applications of cryogenics. With this, let's move on to our next article. It is inspired by this news article which appeared on the page number 6 of The Hindu. Now, this news article says that, now see recently what happened. Ecuador, which is a country in South America, it did a raid in a embassy of Mexico. And this embassy was located in Ecuador itself. So this embassy of Mexico was located in Ecuador. So this Ecuador did a raid. Now this raid was to arrest the former vice president of Ecuador, who was given what do we say, asylum. So the former vice president of Ecuador was given asylum in the embassy of Mexico, and this embassy was located in Ecuador itself. So there was a raid in order to arrest this vice president. Now see, this action of Ecuador is a serious violation of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relation. So today we are going to see what is this Vienna Convention. So Vienna Convention is an international treaty, and it defines the diplomatic relations on which nations operate their missions in foreign lands, right? So there are certain rules for it, of which Ecuador it broke these rules, right? And secondly, Ecuador, this country declared Mexico's ambassador. He's a person. So Mexico's ambassador was declared as persona non grata. Persona non grata means unwelcome. That is, this country declared this ambassador as unwelcome in Ecuador now. Now, as a consequence, Mexico stated that the sovereignty of Mexico has been breached. As you all know that these embassy of Mexico, even if it is located in Ecuador, it is a sovereign territory of Mexico, right? So the sovereignty of Mexico has been eroded, and now Mexico has moved to the International Court of Justice in Netherlands, demanding the expulsion of Ecuador from United Nations. So these are the series of events. Now in this news article, we will be seeing that what is Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations 1961. So now this is an international treaty that defines the framework of diplomatic relations between two independent countries, or between independent countries. So what is the aim of this treaty? The aim of this treaty is to development of friendly relations among the government through a uniform set of practices and principles. So development of friendly relations among countries, and then for it there should be a codification. There should be a proper code, that is codification of custom of diplomatic immunity, and certain kinds of diplomatic immunity is given to the members of that missions, or the head of that mission, or member of that mission. Now what are these diplomatic immunities which have been given? See, these diplomatic agents of one country who are living in the host country, then they are immune from civil and criminal jurisdiction of the host state, right? So they are certain kind of, they have immunities, civil and criminal immunities, right? And what are some other important articles? The Article 9 of this convention says that the receiving state may anytime or without any explanation notify the sending state that the head of the mission or any member of the diplomatic staff is persona non grata or unwelcome. So a host country can anytime say that the ambassador or any other person of that mission is unwelcome, and for it doesn't have to give any explanation, right? This is the first thing. And Other thing is that the premises of a diplomatic mission, they are inviolable. That is, they cannot be violated, and it cannot be and must not be entered by the host country except by a permission of the head of the mission. So clearly Ecuador violated this rule, right? And then also the host country must never search the premises, may not seize its documents or property, and must protect the mission from intrusion or damage, right? Now with this, let's solve our, and presently 193 countries of the world, they are parties to this Vienna Convention, and India is also a party to it, right? And then let's solve this question, which says that consider the following statement with reference to Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations in 1961. To notify a member of the diplomatic mission of the sending state as a persona non grata, the host state is needed to provide explanation. So this is incorrect, as no explanation is needed. As per the convention, diplomatic agents are provided immunity only from the civil jurisdiction of the host state. This is incorrect, as they have both civil as well as criminal immunity, right? And now with this, let's move on to this news article which appeared on the page number 7 of Business Line. Now this news article says about brightening up to fight climate change. So there is a certain kind of geoengineering technique which is marine cloud brightening. Marine cloud brightening technique. So this is one of the technologies which is being developed, a geoengineering technology whose aim is to reduce climate warming by enhancing sunlight reflection from marine clouds. To reduce climate warming by enhancing sunlight reflection from marine clouds. Now, for this, you should know the basic concept of albedo. So, see what is albedo? This is the, say this is sunlight, and the portion of sunlight which is reflected by any surface. Albedo is the extent to which the sunlight is reflected by any particular surface. Now, say you have a white surface or you have a dark surface. So the albedo of which surface is more? The albedo of white surface is more. So the albedo of ice is more than the albedo of oceans. That's why the ice, they reflect more sunlight. So the central idea of this geoengineering technique is that there would be clouds, right? And if we brighten these clouds, if these clouds are brightened, then these clouds, they will reflect more sunlight. And if more sunlight is reflected, this will cause less warming or less global warming, right? So this is the central idea of it. Now let's see that how is this going being to be achieved. This is going to be achieved by this is going to be achieved by formation of more dense clouds over oceans. Now see, in these two images, we can see that in the first image, we can see there is a cloud with which has fewer larger drops. And in the second image, this is what we intend to do. There will be a cloud with smaller drops, that is the density. The density of these drops is more, and because of which there will be higher reflectivity of this cloud. Now how do we do this? For this, there will be certain kind of systems, like certain kind of pump based systems, which will, this is water, ocean water, which will sprinkle out water. This is water mist. This will sprinkle out water mist up in the sky, and when this water mist is evaporated, this will be evaporated, and when this is evaporated, the salt particles which were present in this water mist, they would be suspended in the atmosphere. And you all know that how are clouds formed? How are clouds formed? When these water droplets present in the air, when they cool down on a condensate, on a hygroscopic nuclei, then the clouds are formed. So these salt, they will act as a hygroscopic nuclei or condensating particles on which these droplets, they will cool down. So here there will be formation of clouds which will be more dense as compared to clouds which are normally formed, right? So this is the central idea, in order to create more clouds which are more dense, right? And by spraying of these waters, right, which are present with ocean salts. So this is the central idea. Now with this, let's solve this question, which says that with reference to the marine cloud brightening, consider the following statement. It aims to increase precipitation over the ocean by enhancing cloud reflectivity. So this is an incorrect statement, because the aim of marine cloud brightening is not to increase precipitation. That is another technique which is known as cloud seeding. So its aim is to decrease global warming. And the second statement says that aerosol air pollution can reduce the rising global temperature. See, this is a correct statement. So aerosols, so they are particles which are suspended in air, liquid plus gas particles, and a study has found that these aerosols, they have high reflectivity, and because of high reflectivity or high albedo, they can reduce this aerosol air pollution, which is a pollution in fact, but this air pollution, because of its higher reflectivity, it can reduce rising global temperature because of their higher reflectivity, right? I hope you got it. And then it can affect air circulation and weather patterns. This is also correct. This is also a correct statement. So with this, two statements are correct. So the correct answer would be option B. And now let's move on to our last article, which says that what is doxing and what are the measures you can take if it happens to you. Now in this news article, we will see what is doxing. So doxing is a kind of cyberbullying. So it is a kind of cybercrime, and it is a cyberbullying in which someone's private personal information, this is out in the public domain, but without their consent. So such kind of private information, they can be the home address, the address of that person, his phone number, his employment details, his financial information, or any other media, maybe his media in the form of images, videos. So such is the information which can be bought out in the public domain without their consent, without the consent of that person. And what is the main purpose of doxing? Obviously, it has a malicious intent. The main purpose is by bullying main purpose is to bully that person, or maybe extortion. And in some cases, it can be extortion from that person, of that person. So it is a serious cybercrime, and which can have serious repercussion on the people, affected people, on the victims. And then what are laws and regulations to prevent doxing? But as of now, we don't have a comprehensive legislation which particularly deals with doxing. But the victims of doxing, they can file complaints through the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal. So they have this facility to file an FIR. They have a right to file an FIR, and they can file complaint through National Cybercrime Reporting Portal. And though we know that this doxing, this is a violation of right to privacy under Article 21 of Indian Constitution, under right to life. So this is the violation of right to privacy of an individual. And though there is not a comprehensive legislation, but there are certain legislations in India, like Information Technology IT Act of 2000. And in this, there is a section 67, which says that publishing or transmitting obscene content can be used against doxing. And this is a punishable offense as per this IT section. And this section 67, it can be used against doxing, right? And then there are certain provisions in the Indian Penal Code which are related to criminal intimidation, stalking, defamation, and these sections can be imposed on that particular person. And also recently, there was Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules 2021, which were released. And via these guidelines, these social media intermediaries or the social media companies, they have to abide by certain guidelines, and in certain cases, they have to remove those that posted material. And then they have to remove they have to resolve complaints within a fixed time period. Okay, with this, let's solve our question, which says that with reference to doxing, consider the following statement. Doxing is a form of online harassment that involves revealing someone's private information without their consent. This is obviously correct. In India, victims of doxing cannot file a complaint with the law enforcement authorities. This is incorrect. Doxing can be extremely traumatic experience inducing fear, depression, anxiety, and even post-trauma syndrome in victims. This is also a correct statement. Now, how many statements are correct? Statement 1 and 3 are correct. Now with this, so this is the end of today's session. If you have any doubt, you can ask us in the comment section, right? Thank you.